Hello and welcome. Here we are again, another week on where we endeavor in some Dungeons and Dragons. So last week, our adventurers traveled along the river towards Baldur's Gate, the Chianthar River. They were attacked by bandits, and their captain went missing. They managed to dispatch most of the bandits, but their investigation that followed up left them with little to go on. They did manage to finish the rest of their journey, arriving just at the end of our last session, right here on the edge of Baldur's Gate, where we will be picking up today. They had hit the docks, and as they did, they were settling into, their plan of progress. Lilithane has decided upon herself to seek out potential contacts throughout the city. So she slipped off the boat, unbeknownst to the others, as soon as they arrived. And from there, that's where we'll actually pick up. Alright, so we did actually make it here to the docks on the eastern side of Baldur's Gate. There is... the docks are kind of like in the southeastern side. They kind of stretch all the way along the edge. Baldur's Gate itself is set on a real high-rise plateau that looks over a pretty sheer bluff off to the west, out into the Sea of Swords. The river itself just runs into the sea. There's a natural harbor right along the coast. You've managed to connect up to the docks just at the very start of the city. It just happens to be where most of the trade traffic is. As you kind of gather around and the crew, makes way to, connect everything to the docks and get everyone ready to actually disembark. There's also, the goods and stuff that are being brought up to the upper deck and things like that. As you look around, Fane has left the boat without your knowing.
She does like to blend into the crowds when we get into the cities.
Alright, so you've now reached an opportunity in which you can leave the boat if you wish. How would you guys like to proceed from here?
I guess I would ask the officer on the boat if he's ever had any dealings with the Merchants Guild here.
Quite a bit, in fact. For we never actually ever asked the officer his name, but
Right.
it's going to come out through conversation. He's tend to keep with the crew mostly, and Fane was really the only one that really interacted with the crew at that kind of level. But his name that came out is Balin. Balin Brom. And I'm sorry. So one more time, you're asking if it had any.
If he'd ever had any dealings with the Merchants Guild here in town.
Quite a bit, in fact. Given that every time they come to town, they really can't pass goods without going through the guild itself. The way that this kind of sets up, and you're probably not very aware, but he's going to kind of explain the way that the city itself is kind of conducts its business. The coastway that travels north and south, as well as the tradeway that goes east and west. These um, uh, all of these roads kind of intersect directly at Baldur's Gate, and the land around them is very treacherous. Since it's up on this high, steep plateau up above all around it. The roads themselves are not very conducive to wagons and things like that, and so the lawmakers of Baldur's Gate have actually made everything from horses, dogs, carts, everything of that nature is illegal in Baldur's Gate. Not so much illegal, but they're not allowed to traverse through it. So, like, you can own a cart. I mean, it's not against the law to own a cart. It's just against the law to travel across the city in the cart. And there's definitely no way around the city with it. And so, by what they've done is set up a huge guild here for currying, where those that wish to make goods travel along the large ways, they actually have to sell their equipment, or however they wish to make that deal with those at every entrance point, and then they hire couriers to take it across the city itself, and then all of the merchants there's districts along each gate that all basically deal with. It's like almost used car salesman kind of stuff, where they sell out wagons, and they have that's even here at the docks. There is a courier service and system set in place. Obviously, they don't sell the wagons here at the docks, but they get the stuff, all the goods, by essentially large wheelbarrows to sleds to people just carrying it across the whole city to take them to these large districts at each gate, where you then buy goods in order to transport them then out of the city. That's where you buy your wagons and caravan together. This is also typically the case for a lot of not just the goods, but typically this also holds true for a lot of the wagon guards and things like this, something that was alluded to you previous. So he's going to spend a little bit of time kind of teaching you the ways of Baldur's Gate, so that you understand, kind of how to approach from here.
Good. That's sort of what I was hoping. So as someone who would be interested in working as a caravan guard, as that's probably something that our adventurers group does on a regular basis. If we were interested in finding work there, we would go see one of these representatives near the gates.
Yeah, there are multiple companies that are housed at each of the gates. Typically, more so at the north and south gates, as there tends to be a little bit more traffic that goes those directions than east. There's not a lot of heavy traffic east and west. Most of that does flow by the river, and so there are some merchant representatives in the dock district, and they're very easy. And he's just off the bow, he can just point out several people that have official looking. That you can see from here that they have large medallions that have scales on them as their symbols, almost like the law scales, but instead it's the merchant scales that are on these big large medallions that they wear around their chest, and then they help contract all the couriers and things like that.
Okay, so I guess, do you guys want to go see if we can talk to one of these representatives?
Gonna talk to Brahm for a second.
Mm-hmm.
Will you be heading back to El Terrell now?
Yep, up and down the river we go, from here to the Well of Dragons and back.
how's the crew holding up?
Shaken, but uh, lucky to be alive. Now, some may be a little happier that the loot split in a different number of ways than it was before. They don't quite understand how it works. They're on contracts for labor, but I just let them have their fun. They'll find out the bad news when we get back.
I not exactly sure what happened, but I think they were waiting for us. I don't know us as in me and my friends or you, but something was going on. When you go back to El Terrell, you should seek out Anthar Froome. Um, Tell him what has happened. Maybe he can help. Tell him where there are eyes, there are people watching.
He's going to kind of lean back a little. Yes, Antharr is exactly the kind of person that I want to talk to about something like this. I have a feeling that him and his own eyes might be watching. Where there are eyes, people are watching. I like that. I like that.
I shake his hand and I tell him, good luck to you.
Much thanks to you all. Whether they were here for you or they were here for the captain, we wouldn't be alive today if it wasn't for you. That's all I know, and that's the only way I see it.
I look to the rest of our crew and say, so are we off?
I'm ready if you are.
We're off.
Cue up the Monty Python music. Get the coconuts.
Yeah.
Alright, to where are we off?
I think going to find one of those Merchants Guild representatives, right?
Yes.
Sure.
You know that Fane had seen some of Baldur's Gate before, and who else has been here before that knows much
I
about it?
have.
Me.
So pretty much everyone but Rowan.
Sounds that way.
Those, and this probably came out in some conversation as well, but just in general, you know that Baldur's Gate itself is comprised of 3 different areas. There's the upper city, which is obviously the most elevated, but also the most central area of the city. And then you have the lower city, which is typically where a lot of the merchant housing is, individual stores and wares, various cultural centers, religious centers, all the things of, middle class, you would think. And then surrounding the lower city is a huge wall that is over 20 foot tall, in some places much taller than that, all the way that surrounds the entirety of the city. Outside of the city is another huge district, and this is they call the outer city, and the outer city itself is comprised of the laborers and workers, and that's their residence. It's also where a lot of these, the gates districts that they're talking about, a lot of the north one specifically is called Black Gate. It's a very common one. It's also the largest of them all, as it tends to be that the traffic north and south, either everything east and west or to the south, all either comes into the city and then goes north, or the north comes in and then goes east and south. It's very little in the way of just specifically east and west traffic, and then stuff to the south. North seems to be the source of a lot of all of that in general. And so the North Gate is much larger. It is a much more expansive area than the other 2. You also know that the upper crust, that upper part of the city, is It doesn't have a wall around it per se, but there are a lot of checkpoints. You know a lot about those, and it is hard to enter those parts of the city without being invited or being on lists. And there's a lot of guards that guard a lot of those checkpoints into that part of the city. And as you get further and further from the center of the city, like in many other big cities, that guards become lax and lax. And outside of the big walls, it's not entirely lawless or anything like that, but it is definitely less guarded as far as who goes and comes, that kind of thing. And so you guys would know a lot about that, and Baldur's Gate itself is huge. It's one of the largest, if not the largest, cities in all of the Forgotten Realms. It is also the center of trade for almost everything across all of the center of the Sword Coast. And so that much you're very well aware of as far as how things operate.
Can I look for any sort of thieves' camp as to where, or looking for any like sort of thieves' guild stuff?
Are you looking for people? Or what do you mean by that? Are you saying you're like looking for anyone who's just doing thieves' cant off on the side, or?
I'm looking for. I'm looking for a location of thieves' guild, or any thieves' guild. Yeah, I'm looking for any thieves' guild people. Location of guild houses type thing.
Okay, let's do knowledge local. Well, it'd be history technically, if there was a subset. We don't split it up into subsets. So it'd be knowledge history to see what you know.
Yes. Okay.
I thought I saw 14 on the die. As far as just being aware of where anything like a thieves guild is, it's not like they have signposts or emblazoned emblems. So it's something that you typically have to know someone that knows, or you have to know yourself due to previous interactions. And with that, you know that there is a very heavily steeped sense of nefarious activity that goes on throughout Baldur's Gate. But any of the details of that, you just don't know any. You wouldn't know names or places specifically. You might have a good idea of some of what goes on here, but you don't know who's doing it.
Okay.
It's like the cop that just knows that something's wrong here. That there's all kinds of things going on. You just don't have any of the details yet.
Oh, we're supposed to meet those
The brothers?
those brothers, yeah.
Lilithel and Elith.
Ilithilathale.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to go talk to the representative to see if we could get an idea of where to find them.
Yeah, all you did leave Anthar with was a name, and then I think Rowan got a tiny bit of an extra caution or something like that after the fact.
Mm-hmm.
And then, but that was it. They didn't actually say where to find them. They just said to find them.
So, I guess I would look for one of those representatives and go up and start a conversation.
Okay, yeah. Are we ready to get off the boat and head to it?
If everybody else is ready.
Indeed.
All right.
Okay, yeah. So there are a very numerous number of these overseers or um, whatever. Most of them tend to be almost like clipboards and papers. A lot of them are directing information, writing things down, pointing people to go to different things, helping. None seem to be actually physically doing any labor, but they are directing all those that are. And there's a bunch of them all over the place. And so you just walk up to the first one off the boat. A very tall human male with uh, red hair, freckles, pale skin. Well, hello there.
Hello. I'm
Goods or
hoping
services
you can...
today?
Oh, services.
What kind of services?
Guard services.
Buying or selling?
Selling.
Where are you headed?
North.
Names?
We were told a contact we were supposed to meet for our contract. Would it be more useful to give you their names?
Not standard. Not standard. Very well. Who do you look for?
Two brothers. One's name Ilias and the other's name's Ilias.
Ilithale and Ililith.
Ilithale, Ililith. Yes, I know them. That'd be 10 gold.
I fumble with my pockets for a second and then hand over 10 gold.
Alright, what do you want to know about them?
Location.
See, rifle through some papers as he's flipping through multiple pages. Section 7A, Blackgate, Outer District. Anything else?
I kind of look around at the other guys. I think that's it.
Yeah, that went faster than I thought it was going to be. Okay, cool. See ya. Once you
Yep.
have what you want, get the hell out.
Very well. Continue on. And you see him kind of jotting stuff down as he's directing the next people over who are coming up to him.
Okay, so let's go to Blackgate.
To plug it is.
I wait for somebody else to go first and then I follow in behind.
Okay, so you guys definitely know where Blackgate is. It'd be very hard to miss, especially anyone's ever been here before. Knows at least the tiniest bit of the layout of the city. There is, just very similar to El Terrell, huge traffic ways that form a large T, except for the more prominent direction in this case is more north and south and less east and west. And so you'll have to traverse your way a little bit out of the dock districts. It's not nearly as solid of a path as it is into the large T of streets that traverse most of the traffic north and south with all the couriers. But there is a pretty defined pathway heading over to that direction as you approach the north. Are you traveling through the city, trying to do anything about the way you're traveling through the city? Are you just kind of strutting along? Is there any way in which you're trying to keep yourself?
I'd still have my disguise.
The one, the one that you actually spent time on.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too. And probably first time I catch my reflection in a window, I probably jump a little.
A rather rather regular lady.
It's weird.
I've got my
Oh, sorry.
cloak up.
Cloaks up. Okay. As you get into the more prominent streets, you see several palanquins where people are being toted in large curtained um, envoys, usually surrounded by guards and the like. Some of the more prominent members are those that wish to remain anonymous or hidden. Typically ride into something like this as they're being carried north and south. The most of the traffic seems to be rather regular common citizens, some dressed in slightly finer attire, others in, actually all large robes flowing with, different things dangling all over them as they look to be some kind of oddity or street salesman or some kind of actor. It all depends on, as you go from place to place. People are trying to peddle wares and do different things depending on where you are. But there seems to be a very common theme to a lot of the attire for those that are trying to gather the interest of those that are walking by. Seems to be these large, bustling robes that seem to be multi layers. That a lot of them have like things dangling from them all over attached. Some of those things are things that they're selling, and some are just look to be for show. Weird ropes and things tied in strange knots, things of the like, and you see this pretty commonly moving forward. For those that do know, that have spent enough time here, know that those are people with these types of robes are those that have been given some extra special seal of approval by the Merchants Guild to peddle wares or do whatever, whether it's an act or whatever they're doing. It's almost their license for solicitation of their services or goods or whatever it is. As you make your way to Blackgate, it takes you nearly the better part of the whole day to traverse the city. The city is huge. And you can make it to the area of Blackgate by mid-afternoon.
Should we stop for lunch?
Sure.
Oh, there's plenty of vendors along the way, and several of which have these official-looking robes selling everything from cakes and snacks and pies and hand pies and meat on a stick, meat on the bone, to everything that you could think of for wild fair-like vendor food from medieval times.
Awesome. Meat on a stick is good.
Street food is the best food.
Mm-hmm. Plus, then we can keep walking.
Mm-hmm. Funnel cakes for everybody.
I love funnel cake.
Just sprinkle a little crack on it, just for that extra bit of kapow. Get you coming back for more. Okay, so you guys make it to the area of Blackgate. Pass through, as you can see, the huge gate overhead that arches all the way over the streets. And that gate itself is clearly arches as high as 30 feet tall and is nearly 30 feet, maybe even a little bit more than 30 feet across. Multiple lanes of people are just passing through, and there is a large heap of guards that are keeping track and making sure that people are minding their business and doing things, and also making sure that there's no people coming in with things that they're not supposed to. See them kind of spread throughout the crowd, just kind of keeping an eye on people as they walk by. So what would you like to do?
Well, we're still looking for Illithale and Illithale. So,
Do you know
who was
where?
it?
Do you know where Section 7A is?
Not by Section 7A. I know it as like, oh, that like near such and such a bar, but I wouldn't know it as 7A.
Should we ask a guard?
Stop and ask for directions?
Yeah.
No self-righteous adventurer would ever stoop to such a level as ask for directions.
Rowan's a woman. She can ask for direction.
Okay, I'll go up to a guard and ask him where 7A is.
That and do you really want TS walking up to a guard? Have him a good chum, arm around the shoulder. Cop looks at him and goes, "You're arrested."
So you walk up to the guard, and he goes, so where's 7A? He's just going to kind of
Yeah.
look at you. Excuse me?
The guy from the Merchants Guild, we got directions from him. He said it was in section 7A
7A where?
at the Black Gate.
Oh, that's the outer district, huh?
Yes.
Let's see, 7A. He kind of seems to scratch his head a little bit. Let's see, section 7, that would be 5 streets up, 4 streets over to the west. That's section 7. Can't be sure exactly which one's A. That's a block in that section. But you get over near the section, I'm sure someone can figure it out. You might just find what you're looking for.
Okay, thank you. And then I'll start walking up that way. Now, was that so hard? Guys?
I keep my head down in my cloak and follow.
So we're actually walking through that big gate and outside the city to this district out.
To that outer
district,
city.
right?
Yep.
Poor people.
Out into the poor people's area, sure.
The ghetto.
It's not so much. I mean, there are sections of outer city that would be considered a ghetto, but those near the gate would not be them. It's really hard pressed to tell a difference. Really, as you pass through the gate, it's no stark difference from the housing and quality of the blocks and things just outside of the gate. And even as you start scoping around several streets up, all of the houses look to be of reasonable quality and things, taverns, the like. Alright, so you make your way several blocks up and over into what was described as Section 7, although there's no, street signs that say, Section 7 or anything like that, so you're just kind of walking along these streets that, after a while, really seem a lot like the same. It's starting to be a lot of more of the same as you start making your way, especially as you get off the main path. You can see around you, mostly in this district, has been two-story establishments.
I guess I'd be looking for any signs on the buildings that might mark the Merchants Guild or anything like that.
Looking for those scales specifically.
Yeah.
Okay. As you're walking around, go ahead and let's just do a perception and an investigation separately. Natural 20.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone seems to be getting, you know, like the perception side of things is just trying to keep in mind of all of where you are, what you're seeing, and your surroundings in general. The investigation is kind of actually seeking out and looking for particular this particular aspects that would clue you in and where to go. Uh, the for the general consensus amongst all of you is that it's just so much of the same, and it's so busy and it's so big that it is easy to get lost in the mirrors of one block just being the same as the last block. But you are starting to see some patterns as you walk across these blocks and what they might be these different sections in how they're labeled out. Is how a lot of the signage is grouping things together, and it seems that each of the different sections are being described as more of a particular district of services or goods, or the like. And so you're seeing, as you cross several blocks, you see all different signs that all have the same symbol on them, and then you move over, and then as you continue walking a couple more blocks, there's several blocks that are all clustered together that have the same symbols on them but different. And then as you move even further along into the section that we're directed towards, you're actually seeing nothing but those scales on their symbols on all the buildings in this area.
I guess I would start walking along where those scale symbols are and see if there's any other more specific signs, like that would differentiate them from each other.
What languages do you know?
Common, Druidic, Dwarvish, and Elvish.
Dwarven and Elvish. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So you do actually see next to the symbols in the signposts that have the merchant scales, there are 4 markings next to every one of these, and you can recognize 2 of them as being characters out of Dwarvish and Elvish. And it seems to be almost numerical in value. It's these characters are representing classifications that are more than just like a counting of numbers, but like multiple things. Like if you were like in a legal term, or a really in-depth outline of how you would have all these subsections and parts and all of these different things. And if you were to describe a single part, it would have a multiple of numerical characters put together in a pattern. And as you're going through, you're starting to see some of these in the same the same two symbols, but in two different languages across. A common is not one of the languages on the board.
And the languages say the same thing, or
It's more like they definitely each one as you're going across as you're around. Now you're all seeing the Merchant's Guild. That's the symbol for the large piece, and then there is in like almost there's a large plus separating four distinct areas of the board that are to the right of the Merchant's Guild symbol, and in each spot it is a string of multiple of these things, and each one is different from each building to the next, but a lot of pieces are the same. It's only like one piece is changing as it goes from one to the next. And they represent, you can see, it's like a numerical code, like a string for each, and then repeated in multiple languages as it goes to
like
the
a
next one.
Dewey Decimal System?
Yeah, sure. That's a pretty good corollary. Yeah.
None of them say anything simple like 7A, do they?
No, they don't. No, actually, there's no letters at all in the numeric in those symbologies. It's all numbers. It's all a string of numbers. And oddly enough, 7 is not one even on that list either. Like occasionally you'll see a 7 in the middle somewhere or something, but nothing that stands out like this is 7A, 7B. Like nothing that makes any sense like that.
And none of these numbers make any sense to me, really.
Definitely not to you, no.
Are these signs are actually on the shops, or it's like a board on front of the street or something?
It's actually, yeah, it's like more like a cornerstone next to a grouping of buildings.
And there's two other languages that I don't know.
Correct.
I point to them and say, can any of you guys read these two parts?
I got common, halfling, and thieves' cant looked after.
I've got draconic and elf.
I have common and elf.
Halfling is one of the 4 languages.
Okay.
And you are seeing the same kind of thing that I described to her, but she could compare it across 2 languages. So did you have, let's see, what did you have again? TX?
Common and halfling and thieves.
Halfling thieves, yeah. So you only have the halfling that you recognize, and Morn. You had.
Yeah.
What did you have?
Common and elvish.
Just common elvish. Yeah, and so you could see the same elvish one that Rowan could see. So there's still one off your list that you're missing. But so far you're comparing notes, and the 3 that you can see all say the same thing.
Woohoo!
Is there another guard nearby?
Out here in the outer district, there is not nearly the number of guards. A couple that you've seen in patrols throughout, but they've been really rare. That is still, being mid-afternoon, there are still plenty of people about. Just not any of those that are in the guard capacity that you can see immediately.
Okay, I guess just as one last check, I'm gonna read out the numbers that I can see and ask if that means anything to anybody.
What languages did you have, Carth? You had Draconic and Common
Elf.
and Elvish. Yeah, so you see the same thing, and you're like, so you all have this same combination of numbers. Off the signpost that you're seeing currently next to you.
Oh. If we go down a little bit farther, is there another signpost with more of these numbers?
Yes.
What does the next one say?
Which direction?
I would check the one. Which one are we at? Are we?
We are
How many
exactly
did
at
we
the corner
pass?
of 5 blocks up, 4 blocks over from the gate. Or 5, not blocks, but major roads that you were directed. There are smaller blocks and alleyways and stuff aside from those.
5 up, 4 over. What if I go north 1? So it would be 6 up, 4 over. And if I go to 5 up, 3 over.
So we're 6 up, 4 over, and then so we're going back down 1 and then 1 to the east from the original one?
Yes.
Okay. It's an interesting approach. Try to reverse engineer the Dewey Decimal System.
Sort of, yeah. And then can I check the other 2 directions? So that would be 4 up, 4 over, and 5 up, 5 over? Is that right?
Now the real question is, do we know any more than we did? Roll perceptions.
Ooh, that looked like it was almost a 20.
Yeah, you're all getting a little bit of the feeling that the crowd is starting to take notice of you guys walking forward and backwards and up and down and left and right and back to the same spot. Some of the people in that area, as they're walking around, some that are out on the street, starting to kind of take notice of you, giving you kind of very inquisitive looks, throwing you feel a little underwatch at this point in particular.
So there's no markings on any of the buildings themselves?
Not that you've been able to see. Nothing that separates them particularly. There's only these. The only thing is there's these large cornerstones. At least not in this section. When you were out in the middle of town, there was a lot more. You know, there was actual, rampant symbols that represented all kinds of different things that seemed more like what you're used to seeing. Here's, the Boar's Head Tavern, and you see, this large symbol just hanging over the Boar's Head. That's the kind of thing that you're used to, and that was a lot more prevalent out in the lower city, inside of the walls.
How many buildings are there between each of these signposts?
It kind of depends on the direction you're going.
Right.
Care to take a guess at how many?
Yeah, I'm just writing it out so I know which direction I'm looking.
5 up and down and 4 left and right.
Yep.
Or east and west, rather.
Correct.
What I'm curious about, though, is they're not going to go into negative numbers, are they? I'm going to go a little bit away from the party and check out more south. Because right now we're counting down 20, 15, 10. I want to see what happens when we hit 0.
Game over, man. Game over.
Dun, 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 dun.
Anticipating the first number will start changing.
Anticipation.
Okay.
Hmm.
It might be possible that you're overthinking the situation.
It's possible, dude. I've just been doing some integral calculus before this game, so.
gate section north and west block count, east and west block count. And only the outer city is labeled this way. So what would you like to do?
Well, I'm thinking if we go check out 27.1.1. Because if the first number is like the section, so it was section 7.
Yeah, there's a large two-story building at what would be labeled in that particular. There isn't actually a signpost that says 1. There's one that says 00.
Oh,
There isn't one that says 1. But as you notice, there wasn't signposts in between them, so that the signposts are representative of a point, and then the houses are numbered from that point, so to speak.
right. I guess I'll go up. Is there a window, or like is the door open or closed?
Yeah, I mean there's a large bay window out in the front. This appears to be when you kind of look through the window, there's like a huge conference table surrounded in chairs. The conference room that you're looking into, there's a little door moving out of it into the window, but the conference room is empty. And then off to the side, there's a pathway off the street that goes directly into a closed door at the front.
I guess I'll go up and knock on the door.
After just a few seconds or so from knocking on the door, you hear the sound of what seems like some elderly lady from the other side. Yes, dear. How can I help you?
Hello. I'm new to the city and I'm looking for somebody and I might be a little bit lost. Are you part of the Merchants Guild?
Right about that time, you hear rattling at the doors. The door then kind of unlatches and swings open, and you do see in front of you a very, very small gnomish lady who is got double spectacles on that have the little mechanical pieces that have another spectacle that are off to the side that they can put down in front of the other across either eye. And she looks up to you, and she's a little bit shriveled and old, even for a gnome. Yes, dear. What are you looking for?
The representative that I spoke to said that I should be looking for section 7A. I'm supposed to meet somebody about a contract.
7A. Yes, that's in these blocks around us here. We're in A.
Oh, okay, so I'm at least close.
Who are you looking for, dear?
Illithale or Illalaith, do you know them?
You say at the mention of the name, you kind of see her. Yes. She kind of looks over. Yes, yes, I know them, dear. You don't seem to be the type that would normally visit people such as that. Is everything okay, dear? Kind of lean
Uh,
forward.
Everything's fine. I'm supposed to meet them about a guard contract. I'm here for work, actually.
I'm gonna kind of reassure that from what the reputation we have of them, we aren't the type of people that would normally uh, associate with them either.
Very good, very good. Everyone has to work these days. Everyone must work, so I understand. Um, yes, their place of business is, well, dear, it's just 6 houses north and 2 west. You're kind of using your fingers. Yes, 6 houses north, 2 houses west.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Very good, dear. And then she's gonna kind of reach up and kind of pat on your hand a little. Just do be careful, dear. Just do be careful. And she's gonna close the door, and then you can hear it latch behind.
Okay, I guess I head that way.
So as you kind of move up and then along that other road, you can see that on this side of the block, some of the so a lot of them were a lot of the same along those major rows. And then when you kind of come up and then off this alleyway off to the side, you can see that there are still a lot of the same, the general make and architecture of homes and things of the like. But this is it's the same type of building, but there is the building, what should be a building next to it, is gone. Like there isn't a building there. Instead, there's a large gated fence that has a big double gate that swings out open that is all currently closed. And you can see behind it that where there would have been houses, off just a block over, down this alleyway, there'd be missing an entire gap that is all part of this big fenced-in area of a whole cluster of what would have been 4 or maybe even 6 of these 2-story houses in one big lot. That's all fenced in. Only one house standing, or large building, not necessarily a house, but here on the front on the roadside.
Can we open the gate?
The gate seems to be barred from the inside.
Is there like a bell or anything?
I guess I should explain a little bit better. The gate runs up to the corner of the building, so it runs in parallel with the side of the building, and then there's the building itself, and then the fencing begins parallel to the building again on the other side. It runs down and back towards the back, enclosing the lot. The house is not enclosed inside of the gate, that kind of thing.
Oh. Oh, okay. I guess I'll go up to the house then.
There is a large knocker on the front door, and there is a picture of a fist directly below it on a wooden plaque.
Is it like a symbol?
Yeah, it's just a clenched fist on a plaque directly below the knocker.
Like a symbol of something that we would recognize, or?
It's not
The
something
right.
that you recognize specifically, no.
I use the knocker.
You hitting the the knocker resounds a couple of times as you bang on the door, and then you hear from the other side a pair of voices, nearly in unison. Yes, come in.
Creepy. I try the door.
It's unlocked. Sitting behind a desk, as soon as you open the door, there's a long hallway. Behind that hallway is a big open room. There are doors kind of on either side of the hallway. There is no door in front of the big open room. There's a huge desk, and sitting behind that desk are two half-elves that each are scarred right across the eye in very horrific fashion. They're both extremely pale for half-elves, and they're both scarred on opposite eyes, but in the same fashion. And when they sit next to each other, it's kind of creepy because the way they're sitting right next to each other, those scarred eyes are the ones that are right next to each other, and so it's really kind of sparking some kind of contrast in your immediately pattern recognition. It's definitely throwing you for a loop a bit. And
Illithale
what
and Illithale?
business do you have? They both speak in unison. It almost harmonizes in their real scratchy, weird voices.
I make sure everybody's coming behind me before I shut the door.
I'm going to put a. What do I have? I'm just gonna take my hammer out of. I have a little hammer in my bag. I'm gonna put it and almost use it like a doorstop, preventing the door from closing entirely.
Okay.
Why? Oh. Okay.
You can see them curl their fingers in a motion forward in unison, each with opposite hands. The hands that are symmetric to the eyes that have got the weird scarring across them. Enter. What business do you have?
I start walking down the hallway and say, we were told that you could help us.
We were told that you owe us help.
I'm not
We're
in
on.
the business of help. They say, again, in perfect unison.
But you are in business of getting rid of debts owed.
You can see them both turn and look at each other and turn back to you. There is only one we have debts to, and you are not he.
We are the bearers of the forgiveness of said debt. We come from Antar Froom.
And Leos and Olanthar.
You can see them kind of turn their heads. See a big smile cross their face as they turn back. And in unison, they each cross their fingers in their hands, and they rest their chins on those crossed fingers. And what does he require?
We require entrance into a caravan headed north.
You see them cut their eyes a little. And what does he require?
Did he not send word ahead?
Trying to cut through eyes again. What does he require?
I'm gonna look around real quick to make sure there's not, like... I'm looking for other shadows of people who might be listening.
Perception?
Not good.
Nope. As far as you can tell, the doors to the rooms in the hallway that you're kind of standing still right here at the edge of the hallway are all closed, and you have not heard anyone other than these two half-elves.
He requires that you help us find work as guards in a particular caravan going north.
You see them kind of turn their heads just a little bit as they lock their single good eye at one another. They turn back. What caravan?
There's a caravan that should be arriving within the week. That carries an amount of stolen goods.
And what would a paladin want with stolen goods?
Well, that's our job. How much did he tell you?
When it affects our business, it is our job. What does a paladin want with
He doesn't want-
stolen goods?
He doesn't want anything with the stolen goods. He wants information about the perpetrators. And we're going to get him that information.
And he wants them. You see them kind of both pick up their hands and they start flicking their thumb across their fingers. Eliminated?
No. We are to
Not
Fine.
eliminated, indicated.
indicated. We are to find work at the North Gate to escort them north, so that we may find this information that he requires.
You see them kind of curl their fingers and expect their fingernails just a little. He wants information.
Yes.
You see a big grin come across their face. We can handle information. Perhaps you know information.
We were told that you would be able to get us into the caravan as guards, so that we could acquire the information necessary. That is all we are asking of you. And of course, discreetly.
You see them smile just yet again. Discreetly. Yes. Paladins are often known for being discreet.
Well, that's why they sent us.
Have you ever met a paladin, dear?
A couple now.
I'll have you know they're not known for being discreet. So they kind of both slam their hands down on the desk at the same time. What
Again.
are you here for? This time, the truth.
I have not lied to you. I'm gonna look around
Lies
again.
by omission are still lies. We would know. Perception.
I have a passive of 15 if that gets me anything. I'm not really sure when passive perception is used.
Yeah, I just keep a kind of a jotted note of what your passive perception is, and then as a lot of things happen, you would notice them and others wouldn't. Also, a lot of things that a lot of things that I have you do perception for, a lot of times your minimum is your passive perception, depending on what it is I do. But I take all that into consideration.
Okay.
You definitely are exuding fidgety nervousness as you're, actively kind of.
Well, yeah, I was told not to trust these guys. And they're very creepy, by the way.
Well, have it out, will you? The truth. The devil's in the details.
You know of the Cult of the Dragon, I assume.
Indeed.
They are transporting these stolen goods north for a purpose that we do not know. And this is what we need to find out.
Is it the black? And their eyes squint as they start focusing in on you.
The black.
They kind of cut their eyes at each other. Kind of raise one eyebrow. Tilt their head a little, kind of looking a little inquisitive. Black. Do you know nothing, child? To not even know the black.
If I had more context, perhaps. I know the Black Gate. I know of the Black Spider. I know of the Speaker of the Black.
You see them kind of put palms upward, kind of a shoulder shrugged a little on either side, as they kind of put their hands up in this shrugging motion. And which do you think we mean?
the last.
I give a slight grin as they kind of look at each other again. All this time, every word they've said in unison. In unison.
Yeah, super creepy, by the way.
What do you know of the Black?
I know a name.
Give it.
For what purpose?
I see them get a very, very broad grin as they look at each other. Information, dear, is no gain. You want our help?
I was told you owed that help.
Trying to do an insight as to whether they're actually in need of this or they're just really just fucking with us.
It's really hard to read them. I mean, very hard. So they are very well trained in hiding. You can pick that up. You're definitely getting a little glimpse of insight into them, but you can see very easily that they're not only trained at intimidation and deception, but this whole smoke and mirror routine here is a little creepy and something bizarre that you've never seen before. As far as whether or not they are testing you or if they want to know for nefarious purposes, that's not something you've been able to draw out just yet.
I guess just give them the name.
Tell me first that you will help us with what we need and that you won't use any information that I give you for purposes counter to our mission.
Alright, one more time. What'd you say?
I'm basically telling them that, you know, I can give you this name if you agree to help us with what we need and not use any information I give for purposes counter to our mission.
They kind of cut their eyes at each other as they kind of then look back. I can't promise that some unknown circumstances would lead to hurting or helping you in ways that we do not know or control.
Any
I look around the
unforeseen
room. What's the room look like? The doors. What do I see in this room?
What do you see in the room?
Yeah, I mean, is this room connect to other rooms with the doorways? What's this room?
So is a long hallway, and there is 3 doors on either side of that hallway, and at the end of that is the huge room that has the big desk. It seems barren. I mean, noticeably barren, beyond the huge desk with the 2 half elves sitting at it. In the back left and right corner is doorways that lead to well, who knows what at this point. And it is a solid wall behind them.
I'm trying to do something here. Yeah, I can't. I don't know how to cast that on myself right now. I cast Mage Armor. And I asked the twins, who else is here and what is going on?
Okay, so you actually cast mage armor on yourself? Is that what the...
I tried to do it in the marching order thing, but it didn't seem to work. I don't know.
You gotta do it on the combat tracker.
Yeah, you might have to drag it to yourself on the combat tracker in order to make that work.
Winner, winner, chicken dinner. I tell everyone I don't think we're alone here.
Why, our offices have our associates,
What associates?
those that work for us. It is our place of business, after all.
I'm
You owe a
listening
debt
right
to the
now.
Order of the Gauntlet. We are here to collect on that debt.
You see them just kind of grin and kind of look at each other again in this very in unison motion as they've done many times before. Yes. So you have claimed. So you would expect us to help, but not vet you in a way. You would expect us to help and take on something that could reverberate through the black. And you expect us to do it knowing nothing.
I think you know a lot more than you're trying to let on.
Information is the game.
Are you playing both sides? In your game.
I am only on my side. We work for what is ours. We do owe Anthar, and while we detest what he stands for, honor is still honor, even amongst thieves.
Then you will help us, or will you go back on your word?
Oh, we'll help you. But we'll do it our way. Right at this time, you hear a knocking from the room in the back left, back behind them and to the left, not relative to you. In unison, they each hold up a single finger, and then they turn their heads. Enter. As they do, you see several people that are entering in, that are in cloaked and with their hoods pulled up, and you recognize immediately this set of clothes.
Is it from the bandits?
It is indeed. You see one of them come over, lean down, and whisper into both of their ears as they lean together. And then they look up and they turn. Very well. Bring him in. As that bandit clothed as the bandits were goes back into the other room, you hear as they drag forth Captain Ron into the room, bound, gagged, and shackled, hands, wrists, and as they're dragging him behind, they set him down on the ground by the door.
So for what purpose did you kidnap our ship captain? Was that really necessary?
It's all part of the game.
You know, I don't have a lot of patience for games.
I don't have patience for those that have killed my men. But this time is different. The dealings with this man, that's all business. That's business that you're not a part of. But as a part of our business, we know what you seek. We will help you. And our debt will be forgiven. They're kind of cut their eyes at each other. Agreed.
Agreed, I suppose. I'd like to know what the plan is, though.
It's very simple. We know who to look for. We know the couriers. We own the couriers. They'll be brought here. Their goods will be brought here. There are many others that are leaving north. They do it every day. We'll make sure some of those others leave with those you seek. You will convince those going with them to hire you. I'm sure you have skills. I can sense that some of you play the game.
So, Who do you need us to talk to?
Well, that will depend on exactly who they're traveling with. That'll depend on when they make it here. Since we know what to look for, we'll let you know.
I look at the guys in the hoods are still there.
Yes.
So I look at them and I say, I assume you'll be able to find us.
They just kind of nod their heads. They remain completely silent. They'll nod their heads.
So we will find a place to stay until
Is Captain Ron in this room or the other room where those guys came from?
He's actually set down inside of this room, just inside of the doorway, back near the doorway in the back left. Just kind of drug him in and set him down against the wall.
How many cultists are in this room?
they're not cultists.
I mean, the bandits.
Yeah.
There are 6 of them, and 2 of these the 2 half elves that you can see. There are quote unquote associates that are likely in the rooms to either side. Something that a couple of you have heard and made mention of. Those were not the back rooms. Those are the ones in the hallway that you're currently in, that has 3 doors on either side.
So,
Besides bound and gagged, how does Ron look physically?
He doesn't look too rough. A couple of scrapes, but nothing. He's not like completely beat up. He's not, bloodied. There's a couple of abrasions that you can see, light ones.
So we will find a place to stay and you will contact us when it is time.
well, they did contact us 2 days ago. How did that go?
Yeah. And what happens to the captain in the meantime?
They kind of look at each other. Don't worry about the captain. That's our business now. And our business on this side is not contingent upon our business, as he kind of points, as he kind of motions towards you.
Then why bring him out to show us?
Just information.
What do you want for him?
You wish to play another game?
That's all we've been doing, isn't it?
But this game is different. This game is different indeed. I see them start stroking the chins as they kind of look. And I glance back at the group that has holding Captain Ron, and then they look back forward at you as they kind of look at each one in turn. You are gonna point at Morn. You play the game.
Do I play the game?
We know what you bought. We know how you bought it. We know you play the game. What's this man's life worth to you?
Roughly 2 silver.
The half-elves will peer at you greatly. Is that a real response?
I think that was a joke, right, Morn?
He doesn't serve much value to me, but my friends want, or my associates would like him. So whatever the cost, they should pay for it.
So even factoring in your friends and the value to them, the value to you is still 2 silver coins? Excuse me, associates.
I asked what you wanted for him.
I can't verily assess a value until I know all the information. Each one is going to hold up the outside hand, pointing up a single finger. What's his value to you? They're talking directly at Mon.
Well, currently, he's of 0 value to me. We already have his crew in our possession on our side. Therefore, he is of no value to me, personally.
Very well. They each take their one finger and motion it across their throat.
No.
And immediately following, 2 bandits each cut the throat of Captain Ron.
I cast Sleep on Lilius.
Roll initiative.
That's your roll for initiative.